I can tell within 1 second of landing on your content whether or not you're hiding. And I'm not even talking about if you're lying, if you're being inauthentic, or if you're pretending to be someone else. I'm talking about actually hiding. There's a major difference in my opinion. And I need you to understand something before we go any further into this. This has nothing to do with not being authentic enough. I know that's like a hot topic, authenticity. Be more authentic. Just be yourself. First and foremost, let me be very, very clear. I do not diagnose inauthenticity in my work. I simply have this like inner detection system that recognizes like even just a slight misalignment between your identity and how you're expressing that identity. And I can do this before I even meet you. Like if I am just scrolling social media, this is sometimes why I have a really hard time consuming social media. Like when I consume social media, I'm mostly watching funny stuff because this detector that I have inside of me, it's like not fun. It's like, maybe this is why I don't like TV so much. I just realized this. Like sometimes, if you're watching a really good show and you can tell like the acting isn't very good, or I can always detect if someone's covering up an accent and it ruins the show. It ruins the movie for me. So maybe that's why I don't love TV and stuff. But anyway, back to what I was saying. This whole like be yourself nonsense. I feel like it's everywhere. Like I see it everywhere. Like create a personal brand, rebrand yourself, be yourself, be authentic, just tell stories, like all of that nonsense. It's very, as much as I don't disagree with it, I feel like the articulation of the guidance, like the direction is very fluffy. And I hate that shit. Like I'm like so annoyed with it because I think a lot of people are getting confused or frustrated. And the thing is like, it's hard enough to just be yourself in real life. Like sometimes that's really challenging, but to then give blanket coaching to go be yourself in your content, like honestly, fuck off. I'm seriously like, it annoys me. I'm like, we're not really teaching people the special sauce, the juice. And the issue is not that they're not being themselves. Like that's the thing is like, I watch people and I'm like, the problem isn't that you're not being yourself. The problem is the fracture between who you are when nobody is watching and who you allow yourself to be when everyone is. I'm going to say that one more time. I feel like that's a mic drop. If my mic wasn't like glued to this stick on my desk, I would actually drop my mic. But the sentence goes, there's a fracture, like there's a gap, if you will, and it's very tiny. It's like a hairline fracture between who you are when nobody is watching you and then who you allow yourself to be when everyone is watching you. There's a missing link here. And if you don't close that gap, if you don't seal the fracture, then what you're doing is you're risking the right people in your content feeling nothing from your posts. And I'm telling you, like, you might be worried that people aren't going to like you for what you post, or you might be worried, like, I don't know what you're worried about, but these people aren't even going to feel resistance to you. They're not even going to dislike you. It's much worse. You are risking them feeling absolutely nothing. They're numb when they consume your content, which means you become overlooked entirely. So let's talk about what's actually happening here, because this is probably when you tell yourself that you're like, oh my gosh, the algorithm hates me, or oh my gosh, I got shadow banned. Like I used to do really well and now I don't. But in reality, your content just isn't clocking. It has nothing to do with the algorithm. And I don't know how to say this other than just being totally honest. My work, yes, I go by content coach and brand strategist, business mentor, whatever, but my work is not to teach you how to create good content. That's not like, I don't wake up in the morning thinking like, I'm going to go teach someone how to create a really good post. My work is to help you stop hiding yourself inside of what you post. That is my soul's mission. I love social media. I love branding. I love business, but I can't teach that without this. This is the core of what I teach. So having said that, I don't particularly like look for authenticity or even truth. I look for the fractures and I do it unintentionally. So let me explain. I'm going to go through like a couple of different fractures that I see and recognize within quite literally a millisecond. Like I don't know how to tell you how I do this. And some of you probably do this too, and you just haven't like been able to recognize it. But here are some of the things that stand out to me immediately. Your language. And I'm saying like this could come across in your messaging, your copy. It could come across in the way that you sell. It could come across in even like if you do chit chat reels, or maybe you even have a podcast. It's like I I can sense that you've been through some shit. Like I know you're a baddie. Like life hasn't been particularly like simple for you, but yet your language is extremely generic. Like you're almost being too polite, and you're maybe even like heavy on the education, or if you're not heavy on the education, you're heavy on the inspiration. Like I see this so often, so that what you're doing is you're subconsciously hiding all of the pain that you've survived, that you've fought your way through. And it's not because you're ashamed of it, but you don't know how to channel it. It's like that pain wasn't all for nothing. Let's channel it. Let's use it for something. And I'm not talking about trauma dumping. I'm not talking about victimizing. I'm not talking about even like explicitly telling these stories all the time, because you might even do that. Like you might be really good at that. And that's part of what makes you quote unquote inspirational. But, like I would use words to define you, like, helpful or supportive or motivational. And then you like go and you talk about taking aligned action. Like this is part of your messages, like take aligned action or show up with intention, like those very vague things that you're trying to get across. And yes, all of that is true, but it's also completely sanitized, like completely sanitized. And I'm watching you and I'm like, I know for a fact, I don't know you, but you've survived things that would break other people. You've made decisions that have cost you, whatever, relationships. Like you have sacrificed sleep and versions of yourself that you could never get back. And instead of letting that wisdom bleed into your language, you dress it up in like this professional, polished manner, and you hope that people still feel the weight of it. And they don't feel it, because wisdom that you've gained without an edge, it's just becoming like this information. And we have enough of that already. Like it's information overload season, era, whatever you want to call it. So where I would help you with this is I would coach you to articulate your real life experiences in a way that elevates you. So not just describing what you've been through and like, oh my gosh, I'm so strong, and like reflecting on what you've been through, but portraying these experiences in a way that you are now elevated because you went through that and because you got to their side in a way that most people don't. So we would showcase you as the wise woman that you are, not the woman who's trying to sound like one. And that's what you're doing right now. Okay, fracture number 2. This one is, I actually catch myself in fracture number 2. And that's another thing is like, I'm able to recognize this because I recognize it in myself. So all of these things are not like me calling your baby ugly. I'm literally coming from a place of, I see all of it. I've seen this, or I do see this in myself. And this is how I'm able to look at it and see it in you. But fracture number 2 is your opinions are lifeless, or you don't have opinions at all, which is another problem. But I mean, truly, there's like nothing wrong about what you post. There's nothing wrong about what you post. And that is the fucking problem. There's nothing wrong. Like you come up with these squeaky clean hooks that I have literally seen 7 other people use. You like, someone told you need to go provide value. So now you start posting a lot of information with like bullet points everywhere. And there's zero recognition of what you truly stand for or stand against. You've created no enemy to build your cult community. And I'm not saying enemy as a human. I'm saying you have no enemy problem for people to be like, yep, that I hate that. I stand against that with you. So you tell people what works, but you don't tell people why most people won't do it anyway. Like you tell people the steps, but you don't tell people the cost. You're really good at like giving frameworks and blueprints, but you don't give the fire. The fire is missing. And so here's what happens is people are going to consume your content and they're going to think to themselves, that was nice. Maybe they even save it. Maybe they tell themselves they're going to come back to it. They never do, by the way. And then they keep scrolling and they forget about you. You don't linger in their heart. You might be in their mind for a moment, but you don't linger in their heart. Niceness does not interrupt a scroll, and it doesn't create recognition on a whole new level. Like nice doesn't make someone screenshot something or click the share link and send it to a friend. Niceness doesn't build legacy. It's almost like you're sabotaging yourself by not explicitly talking about your opinions. And I'm talking about opinions related to what your mission is. I'm not talking about like red and blue opinions, okay? Like, let's be real. I'm talking about you standing for something so that people recognize you as the leader that they want to hire. Your passion is going to build your legacy. Your conviction is going to build your legacy. Your point of view that you don't apologize for, like, it exists on purpose. So with this one, I would coach you to show passion and use your life lessons that are happening left, right, and center. Like, there's things that are happening in your life right now that you're completely missing putting into your content. And we would take that and we would use it as fuel to evoke emotion in someone who's consuming your content and then build that connection with them, which is game over when you do that. And it's not because like emotion it doesn't take you being emotional to evoke emotion. And it's like not because that's like a trending thing right now, but because emotion is what's going to make someone remember that you exist. Emotion is what drives connection. And you want to be the person that people remember, the leader that people remember. Okay. Fracture 3, you are a teacher. And fun fact, I actually was a teacher for 2 years. If you didn't know that about me, I was a 7th grade science teacher for 2 years. I actually loved that job. I am a teacher at my core. Like when I was a little girl, I played pretend teacher all the time. It was like one of my favorite pretend plays. You know, we all did the pretend stuff, but like the teaching, I either was a teacher or I was a singer. Like those were the things that I would pretend that I was. Anyway, in your content, being a teacher is part of the puzzle. Like it's a massive strength. If you have the ability to teach, you are far ahead of the game. So I'm not hating on this because I think there's a lot of people that could actually improve their teaching capabilities. However, teaching is not the leading force in content. So yes, you show up with tips, you provide insights. Maybe you're really good at call outs. Like, you know, that I've talked about this before on the podcast where like we're in this like weird time where everyone's normalizing calling each other out. And I'm like, geez, you're missing the boat here. Like it's not the call out that is going to get people's attention. It's the ability to call them in after you've called them out. And then your ability to call them up after you've called them in. All of that to say, we're going to get back to what we were talking about because I just keep getting off topic. Okay, back to being a teacher. So you are really good at like descriptions and tips and insights, but the thing that's missing is there's very little truth, raw truth. I'm talking like, tell me what it cost you to become you in depth. Tell me the version of yourself that you had to let die in order to build the business that you have right now. And I don't care if your business makes $1 a month. There's parts of you that you had to let go of. Tell me about the conversation that you had at 2 a.m. when you realized you just couldn't keep living the way that you're living. And this is what led to the next thing. And because of that, this happened. And because of that, that happened. Tell me the moment that you truly were like, fuck this, I'm done asking for permission. Because teachers teach. Like, yes, teachers are really good at teaching. Like we've all had teachers in our lives, but you do more than just teach. You transform people. You help people grow. You change people on a cellular level, regardless of your niche. That's what you do. And transformation isn't going to happen through logic by itself. It's going to happen through being recognized and really being able to like reach through your content and pull on the heartstrings to get someone to shift perspective, to change them. So you do this through someone seeing themselves in your story and thinking, oh, so it's possible for me too. Like truly, that's the name of the game. Your logic that you keep leaning into, it becomes very stale when there's too much of it. Like it's like people are, again, I even look at my Explore page sometimes and I'm like, man, there's some really good accounts right now, some really good brands posting really good logical teaching content. And that shit goes viral. Like people teaching like ChatGPT prompts, for example, like that goes viral. But pay attention to those brands because are people looking at that brand and thinking, I remember that person? Or are they looking at that brand and they're thinking, I need to save this ChatGPT prompt because I'm going to go use it? There's a massive difference. And I'm not saying don't post the logic. The logic has its place. But if that's all you're doing, people are not going to hire you. They're just going to save your content. And so I'd coach you with this fracture to share something that like AI could never polish for you. ChatGPT could never polish for you. It would be something raw. It would be something real. It would be something that reminds people that you're a human being who actually figured it out, not just like this machine optimized for whatever result people want to get from you. Okay, fracture number 4. You are you are doing this and you don't know that you're doing this. So this is going to feel harsh, but you are embodying someone that even you would not want to follow. Like truly go have an out-of-body experience. Go look at your content. You're somebody right now that even you would not follow. You wouldn't get excited and open your phone every single day and be like, oh my gosh, what did they post today? You wouldn't do that to yourself because your content is not, let's just get into it. Your voice and your presence is just not like lining up with your leadership capacity. You are a leader and it's not giving leader. So the way that this is signaled, or the way that this is showing up in the symptoms, if you will, you over explain and you use a lot of text. Like you lean a lot into copy. And sometimes there's time and place. Again, like if you were to go look at my carousels, I have a lot to say. So there's a lot of text in my carousels sometimes, but there's parts of my carousel, and I know that not everybody's reading through every single word. I'm okay with that, but the right people are. With you, when you're using a lot of text, you are softening statements because you don't know how to be direct enough without being a total bitch. Whew. I just heard this word the other day. It was like, I thought I knew what this word meant. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone. It was, it was candor. Candor was the word. And I've like read the book. Isn't there like a book called Candor? I don't know if that was like assigned to me when I first became a medical device sales rep as a woman in a male dominated space. It's hilarious that this was the book suggested to me. Like, I think it's called like Radical Candor or something. So I read this book, and then I heard this the other day. Someone was talking about candor being like the kryptonite. I think it might have been Gary Vee, but he was saying, whoever this was saying like candor is the thing that has been the biggest challenge in their life. And candor, as I'm looking at it right now, is defined as the quality of being open and honest in expression, frankness, like being frank with someone. And I've recognized in women, especially in content, that it doesn't come natural to us to have candor without being bitchy. Like we go straight into being mean and we don't want it to be that way. So it's like, I see you and I feel you. Like you don't want to be a bitch. It's just like, we don't know how to have candor. So without trying, what you're actually doing is you're asking for permission. You're seeking validation energetically. And I know that sounds weird. If you're being direct and you're being a total bitch, you're like, no, I'm not asking for permission, but actually that's what it's giving. You're screaming in desperation, please approve of me. And I see it in the way that maybe like you end your captions with like fierce pointed call out shots, or like, and you have like this like it's not like a disclaimer, but it's showing disclaimer where you'll do something like just my opinion or unpopular opinion, something like that. And then you go in, like you just go straight for the throat. And, or you say something like, this might not resonate with everyone, or like whatever. I don't know. Listen, I get it. You've been conditioned to take up less space. The amount of times that I've been told I'm way too bold, I'm way too direct, I'm way too blunt, I can't even count. I mean, literally every single job that I've ever had, the manager that I've had or the boss that I've had has had this quote unquote talk with me where I get told these things. So I've been told to hedge, or like to make sure that everyone knows that I'm not claiming to have all the answers. So the truth is, the women who need you, they're not looking for someone who has all the answers. This is the stance that I've had to take with this fracture in particular, is to put on the hat of like the woman, the ideal client, and the person that I'm posting content for. They don't need me to have all the answers. They are looking for someone who is certain about the answers that they do have. And I have a couple of really certain answers. And so I've actually been practicing this in the last, actually just few months, I would say, like the power of repetition and going deeper on what I am certain about. And there's a difference here between like humility and hiding. There's a major difference because a lot of you are claiming, well, I'm just humble and I've been raised to be humble. And then you are hiding and you don't realize it. I love being humble. I'm very humble. At the end of the day, like I truly believe, like I don't credit myself for much. Like I really don't. And that's how I grasp onto my humility. Like even when I look at my clients who are killing it, absolutely killing it, and I know that I've been coaching them for a while, I don't see myself in their win. I'm honored to be a part of it, but I know it was them. Like they did that. Even if you were sitting in front of me right now and you had this massive breakthrough, I would look at you and I'd be like, you did that. So with this one, I would coach you to connect with certainty. We would pull out some things that you're very certain about. Instead of leading like a woman that you've already outgrown, you're not the bitch, you're not the know-it-all, but instead we would turn you into the version of you who isn't scared to be direct. She's the version of you who's going to scale the business. There's a big difference. Okay, fracture 5. Oh, man, these are all so good. I feel like, oh my gosh, they're so good. But this one I see, maybe this might be the most often one that I see in clients coming into my world, at least new clients. You clearly have no idea what your edge is. I love the word edge. The word edge like has been prevalent in my lifetime for so long. I could tell you a story about that, but I don't want to turn this into like a huge episode. So the word edge, I love that word, and it always pops up. And when it does, I'm like, okay, I must be in the right place. It's like one of those things. But when you clearly have no idea what your edge is in your content, and I can see it in your posts, I see this in a way where you stop just before the truth has been shared. Like you stop just before. It's like a screeching halt. And you could be creating mic drop after mic drop after mic drop, but instead you're creating like this mild interest in you. It's like you're really good at naming the problem. Your content is like you have problem awareness. You're really good at creating or like naming the desire for your ideal client. Like you're good at that stuff. But when I say you stop just before the truth has been shared, I mean you have no clue how to name the fear or the thing that your ideal client is afraid of admitting out loud. You have no idea how to do that. So your content starts to skim the surface. It's like circling around what matters without ever landing on it. Wait, that's good. That's so good. Your content is circling around what matters without ever landing on it. It's like you talk about taking the leap. Like, ooh, you just got to take the leap. But then you don't talk about what it feels to stand at the edge and realize no one's going to push you. You have to jump yourself. Like you don't go there. You don't go there. You talk about investing in yourself because you want to showcase that you do that, but you don't talk about the guilt that comes with it, the shame or the voice that says, who do you think you are to spend this kind of money and want this for yourself? You're not even worthy of this. You don't go there. You talk about showing up and being consistent and being the beast that you are, but you don't talk about the days when showing up feels like hell, feels like dragging yourself through fucking glass. That's so dramatic. But honestly, you don't talk about it. Instead, you come from this pedestal of like, I'm here because I show up, or like all you have to do is show up more. Like, come on. And the women who need to hear that, they're starving for someone to say it out loud. They're starving for it. And this is in this fracture, this is where I would coach you. You are editing yourself for safety. You're afraid of if people actually hear the truth from me or see the real me, are they going to believe I'm a leader? And the answer is hell yes. So instead of intentionally trying to paint that you struggle, because that's not what I'm talking about here, I would show you how to lean into expression, because your edge isn't just what makes you different. It's what makes you undeniable. Undeniable. All right, fracture 6. Now we're going to get more into like the tangible content pieces. Those things that I just talked about were more like feelings and vibes. This is like what I see and hear. So the first one for fracture 6 is your visuals feel off, like something is off, or they're boring as hell. That's another thing. But this is like the virtual version of owning a room. Like walking into a room, you own the room, and it has nothing to do, let me be very clear, lean in, listen to this. This has nothing to do with the actual aesthetic. Nothing. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what your size is. I don't care what your race is. I don't care. It has nothing to do with the actual aesthetic, although with most people consuming your content, that's what's getting noticed on the surface level. But again, at the end of the day, that's not what's actually going on. And you keep blaming that as like, well, I can't change the way I look or whatever. Like that's not what we're actually talking about here. The photos and the videos of you tell me whether or not you trust yourself to be seen. So I'm talking what clothes you wear, the way that you pose, your brand colors, the way that you move your body, the photos that you choose, like literally. And I know this might sound shallow, but that's not what I'm speaking to. It's the way that you present yourself visually, which is a direct reflection of how much space you are willing to take up in the world. The way you present yourself visually is a direct reflection of how much space you're willing to take up in the world. If you are hiding behind trying to be perfectly curated or like I don't know, you don't show your body or like whatever because you think that's what professional looks like, you're wrong. I had this conversation the other day. It's like for so long, I stopped dancing in my content because I became a quote unquote business coach, and there's not business coaches dancing in their content. Is anyone going to take me seriously? Or like, how do I post a dance video and then talk about business? That doesn't make sense. And then I was like, fuck that. This is my expression. This is my outlet. I love dancing, and I love a dancing video of myself. Like it's like the best evolution for me. Professionalism is you being fully expressed unapologetically, period. Like all these videos where people are like, oh, I'm sitting in front of my computer, or like I'm walking down the stairs and I like whatever. I'm like, dude, who are you trying to prove? Like, who are you trying to kid here? Like if you're and then the photos thing is another thing, is like you're small in the frame, or maybe you're only posting your like photo shoot photos, or maybe you don't have photo shoot photos. So like you're making sure that you're looking away from the camera, or you're smiling politely, like you're just not ready to be seen as powerful yet. That's all it's giving. And that's fine. But don't wonder why your content isn't converting or getting attention when you're doing things like this. So with this one, I would coach you to witness where your visuals, like I would walk you through this process where you look at your visuals from out of body experience, and you will actually immediately detect why they're falling flat and where they're falling flat. And I would guide you to find your true visual expression and creativity, not what's trending, not like trying to perform, because that's another fracture. We don't need that. Not what looks good on somebody else's feed, but what feels like you when you are most alive. Okay, fracture 7. This one is, again, goes along the lines of like the visuals, but this is all about like the audio. I don't know your real voice. I actually, I'm talking about like, I can't hear your voice. And even if you're creating chit chat reels or like where you're talking in your content, I can't hear it. And so the sound of your voice, just so you know, the sound of your voice. And I actually last year had an interaction with a voice coach. It was mind blowing to me. And she taught me a lot. And what she taught me was like the sound of your voice is actually revealing what your words are actually trying to hide. So you think that you're using words and trying to say something, but when the sound of your voice is off, you're saying more than what you intended to say. The message is getting lost of what you want to say, and instead I'm hearing the tone of your voice. So maybe you get quiet. So we're going to pretend like I'm scrolling in your Instagram or your TikTok, wherever you show up, and I come across a video where you're talking. And maybe you get quiet when you're saying something that actually matters. Like, again, your voice literally gets a little bit quieter, a little bit like shy, or maybe you like lack inflection completely. That's another thing. I'm like, dude, this is so monotone. You want me to watch this for 60 seconds? I can't even watch it for 10. Maybe you're rushing and you're talking hella fast because you're uncomfortable being the center of attention for longer than 30 seconds. Maybe you literally created a script, which there's nothing wrong with creating a script, okay? But you haven't practiced the script or read it enough because it's not, maybe you got it from ChatGPT or whatever, and it's starting, when you read it or like when you record it, it sounds extremely rehearsed. Like you practiced it and one time and now you're just performing for the script. Like we all know what you're doing. I also like the people who download the app where like you can read on the screen. What's that called? I forget what that's called. But I'm like, dude, we know you're reading. Oh my gosh, it's so bad. Maybe you struggle. This is a big one. So listen to this one with your talking head reels, if you want to call them that. Maybe you struggle with eye contact while you're speaking. Like you can't quite look directly at the camera because it feels uncomfortable, too exposing. That's what it feels like to you. And sometimes I watch my videos back and I won't post them because my eye contact is so off. And it has nothing to do with me consciously thinking to myself, like I feel too vulnerable. It's actually like I have other things going on in my mind or something. But the way that it's being received is like, geez, this is uncomfortable to watch. You can't even look at the camera. Or maybe you just don't even post content where you're talking at all. And that's an entirely different problem. And I get it because your voice is like a very intimate part of you. This is like, I used to struggle with this podcast for so long because it's my voice. That's all you can hear. And you can't really edit the way that you can in a caption. So it's like you can't hide behind formatting or emojis or strategic line breaks or like whatever else you do. But that's exactly why it matters. Because when I hear your voice, I know if you believe what you're saying. Like, I know if you've actually lived what you're talking about. I know if you're speaking from memory or from embodiment, or if you're projecting or if you're pretending. So with this one, I would coach you to remove the mask, to first recognize it, to remove it, and to create vocal content that actually makes me feel like I'm on the couch with you, drinking a cup of coffee. Not like I'm watching a webinar, because good God. But like I also don't want to feel sold to. Like, we can tell what you're doing. But more like we're having a conversation that matters. That's what I want to feel like. Okay, so that was a lot of fractures, 7 of them. The perspective shift here is, this is what I want you to understand. These are all things that I notice within 1 second of landing on your content, like literally 1 second. And I feel like I'm not like this special person. If I can smell it, other people can smell it. Like, if I can see it, so can the women who need you. So obviously you're super talented. You are brilliant, and people truly need you as their leader. But your talent and your brilliance alone, they're not going to scale until you've learned how to turn them into obvious, intentional marketing and content and messaging. And I know you probably don't want to hear that because you're thinking like, marketing feels gross. Like, rah, rah, rah. It feels manipulative. It feels like you're performing instead of being. But that's only true if you're marketing something that isn't actually you. Real marketing is just this. It's you taking who you already are and making it impossible to ignore. You don't have to be anybody else. That's the biggest relief of today's episode, is it's not about you being louder or like changing who you are. It's just about being more clear. And it's not about you even going and posting more. It's about, when you do post, are you posting with intentionality, with precision? Are you being true to you? And most importantly, you don't have to be perfect, but you truly are innately undeniable. And these fractures that I'm talking about in your content, they're not flaws. That's the thing. This is not like a personal attack. I'm telling you how to channel being more you. These are places where you're still protecting yourself inside of expressing yourself. So again, I get it. You've been working your ass off. You've been through a lot. You've maybe been misunderstood. You've shown up fully before, and maybe it's been thrown in your face. And so you potentially have learned to edit yourself or to soften yourself or to shrink yourself. But the shift that is important to make is that the version of you that's editing yourself out for safety because you're afraid of whatever, that's not the version of you that's going to build the empire that you want. I keep asking myself this question: what does millionaire Chan do? I don't edit shit. Even all the cuss words. Sorry if there's kids in the car. Children, it's not good to cuss. Be polite. The version of you that is afraid to take up space, that's not the $1 million version of you. That's definitely not the version of you who's leading women that need you either. Women don't want to be led by someone who's afraid to take up space. So the work isn't to be more authentic. Let me just make that very clear. The work is to close the gap between who you are in real life and who you allow yourself to be in your content. That's it. And that's terrifying sometimes, but it means just being fully seen, not just being polished, or not just the wins, but the mess, the process, the still figuring it out, the humor, the sadness, the seriousness, the silliness. But that's also where the magic is, because when you do all of that, when you stop hiding, you become unforgettable. And this lives in your daily life. This is very simple. You can turn this from your daily life into your content and into your business. It starts with awareness. Notice what you're protecting. Ask yourself, is this protection serving me, or is it just keeping me small? And that's where your voice lives. That's where your edge is. Okay. So at the end of the day, you are brave. You are brave enough to stop hiding. You are brave enough to be seen. You are brave enough to take up space that you've already earned. And I cannot wait to see it. I hope you loved this episode. If you did, I would love if you shared to your stories and tagged me. I will send the love right back. Or if you would love to give this a 5-star review or a comment on Apple Podcasts, that would mean the world to me. I love you so much, and I will talk to you soon.